Good morning. My name is Andrea of Andrea Gonzalez Motivations, here to greet you with love, inspire you with hope, challenge you for change, and to impact you for life. I am so happy to be with you. I am grateful because my left leg, which is it's in a boot. I call it a contraption. It's getting better day by day. So I'm thankful for healing. I'm thankful that I have the strength to come and to speak to you again. I get so inspired by speaking to you guys. I get inspired because my life challenges are not just personal, but I want them to be something that I'm transparent about. Because if I'm going through it, my mind says that there is somebody somewhere in this world that is experiencing some of the same things that I am. And if I can take my knowledge and experience and make it better for someone else, I do not have pleasure in watching others suffer and watching others fail. And if I can take my experiences and help, that is something that I set my sights to do, that it is my goal and my plan to do in life. Today, on this Mental Monday, as we think about things, as we look in the mirror at who we are, and not just who we are, but how do we get here, in our thought process, and just all the various entities of how we became who we are. I want to talk about a word that's called intercede. And I want to talk about intercede, the love we have for our neighbor. So I often talk about how to be your best you. We are not independent of needing others around us. We don't live on an island and there's no one there but us. We live in a world with people. And regardless of how you feel about people, you need people. You need people to help guide you. You need people to help give you information. You need people to help nurture you. You need people to help challenge you to grow. You need people. We all need people. We live interdependent of needing people. I didn't say dependent, which means relying upon them, but an interdependence, which means that we back and forth need one another. They have strengths and I have weaknesses. I have strengths and they have weaknesses. And we can depend on other people to help sharpen us to be our best self. So as we talk about intercede, love for our neighbor, real brief. I'm not going to be before you long. The word intercede for me, I'm going to take it from the biblical sense and the biblical standpoint, which means standing in the gap. Okay, a lot of times we don't often stand in the gap for people. Our lives are very demanding. Not only are our lives demanding, but we have a lot of responsibilities on top of the demand. We are multifaceted, multi-complex people. And oftentimes we come into our garage and we don't see any of our neighbors, and we get in our car and we pull out and we go down the street. We come back to our home and we lift up the garage and we don't say anything to our neighbors. We don't really notice what's going on around us in our neighborhood. We kind of are fixated on taking care of me, my family, myself, and I. But interceding is when you stand in the gap for someone else. You stand in the gap, and you stand in a place in between them for assistance. So what I mean is, when you stand in the gap for a person, you stand in between a situation that they have. You stand in the middle of a circumstance that they have. Not that you can change it, but you are standing so that you can bear some of the weight. So you can pray for them in the instance of we're talking about for the Bible. Intercede, love for our neighbor. You stand there to be the strength that they need because they're weak. You stand there that you can not only be their strength, but you can also be somebody that they can depend upon. You're there because you care about them. It's nothing that you're going to get out of it outside of the pleasure of seeing things change and turn around for them. The joy of being able to intercede for them in prayer, Because a lot of times when you're concentrating on your own issues, you tend not to see what everyone else is going through. And it seems like, and it's a trick. It's a trick to make you think that what's going on with you is so huge that you don't have any time to think about anyone else. But I've noticed the more that I intercede for other people, the more I feel at peace about my situation. My situation doesn't look as large as it did before I began to intercede for others. I began to talk to other people. I began to pray for other people. I began to stand alongside them. I began to walk with them. Sometimes people don't even need you to do anything other than just be there for them. Be the person that can listen on the phone as they talk to you. Be a calm voice that can calm them down while their emotions are raging. Be a support that helps them to bring things back into focus and help them to see some positives in a very negative situation. Can you intercede because you have love for your neighbor? You have love for another human being. Because human beings are important. Because having human relations is important. I challenge you on this Monday to think about, who are you standing in the gap for? Outside of you, your family, and your friends, whom are you standing in the gap for? Is there a person that at work that it seems to always have troubles around them? Are you able to go to that person and say, I see your struggle, and I just want to stand with you. I just want you to know that here's my shoulder if you want to lean on me. Are you willing to give of yourself and to be sacrificial of your time, as much time as, might be necessary for them just to get it off of their chest? You never know how close someone is to suicide. You never know how close someone is to just giving up. You never know how close someone is to just saying goodbye to it all. And a lot of times it's because nobody listened. Nobody was there to help. Nobody was there to intercede. Nobody was there to stand with them. Nobody was there to hold their hand. Nobody was there just to bring a little bit of comfort. As you intercede, as you think about, do I intercede for anybody? Or are all of your thoughts about your problems? Are all your thoughts about your goals? Are all your thoughts? Listen, to be the best person you can be, it's called servitude. You have got to serve other people. That's what makes you good. That's what makes you your best self, is when you're able to share yourself with other people and be there at their time of need, and to give of yourself willingly without asking for anything in return, outside of wanting them to be well, wanting them to be whole, wanting them to be saved, wanting them to be protected, wanting the best for them. There is no leader that is great and they did not give of themselves. That they did not. Dr. Martin Luther King, he didn't die trying to protect, or stand up for his wife and his children. They weren't in a whole lot of imminent danger, but he stood for other people. He interceded. He became the vocals for other people who couldn't stand up for themselves, who couldn't fight for themselves, who couldn't see their way through, who didn't have it in them. They didn't have the tenacity. Are you going to be willing to intercede for the love of a neighbor? And I said a neighbor because I don't want to say a friend, because your life is more than just your friends. We go places, you go to the mall. You might not have a friend in the mall, but can you show compassion to anybody in the mall that might be having a hard time? They look like it. Can you just say an encouraging word to somebody because you don't know where their mindset is? I encourage you to intercede for the love of a neighbor. Can you stand in the gap for them? Can you give them a little bit of your time? Can you patiently walk with them? Can you patiently just sit with them while they're crying? Can you show any love to a neighbor? I'm going to leave you with this quote, and it's by William Law. And he says, "We must alter our lives in order to alter our hearts. For it is impossible to live one way and pray another." But that's mostly what we see. We see people live one way and then they go to church and act another. And so it's impossible, according to William Law. And that's true. Eventually, who you really are is going to show up, and people are going to begin to see it. You're going to begin to be exposed about who you are. So once again, we must alter our lives in order to alter our hearts. For it is impossible to live one way and to yet pray another. I want to challenge you on this Monday. I want to challenge you to intercede, which is stand in the gap. I want you to stand in the gap to show love to your neighbor. I hope you have a great day. Don't worry about it being gloomy outside. It's gloomy here in Michigan, but a gloomy day is still a productive day for me. I'm grateful that we had this time together. I hope that you are encouraged by it. I hope you're inspired by it. I hope that it impacts you and it changes your thought process about how you care and show concern for other people. Have an awesome and super duper fantastic day. God bless.